Good evening everybody, it's Zero back at you again with another History Buff Reacts video, and today we are taking a look at Salmonella's Improbable Tales of Survival. Not sure how this one's going to go, honestly. I'm wondering what tales they're going to come up with, but knowing it being Salmonella, they're going to be dodgy. So, yeah. Let's see, shall we?
Thanks to Dashlane for sponsoring this video.
Dashlane!
Hey kids,
Hi,
the
Sam.
human spirit is a very powerful thing. With the right temperament, it can allow us to survive things you wouldn't believe. However, some people are stronger than others. For example, I've never so much as broken a bone in my life. Haven't been hospitalized since that first time 20 years ago. So I'm like 90% certain if I'm ever forced to dance with death, my soul's pussying out to the great beyond first thing. On the other end of the spectrum, you got guys like Phineas Gage. Gage was a 25-year-old railroad worker in mid-19th century Vermont. He and his crew were busy gang blasting rock to prepare the roadbed for a newly planned route. This involves a big hole being drilled into the ground, filled with gunpowder, and packed down using a tamping iron. Well, being the gentleman and scholar that he is, Gage decides to lean forward and look directly into the hole, right? Now, the first rule of gun safety is to never look down the front of a gun. Everyone knows that. Gage basically just turned the earth into a gun and decided to put his head right in front of its gaping barrel, and wouldn't you know it, the powder goes off. The tamping iron shoots up into his cheek, moseys right on through his frickin' brain, and goes soaring out the other side, landing 80 feet away, all smeared with blood and thought juice. Now, by and large, Gage should have dropped dead immediately and been thrown into a ravine for his blatant disregard for OSHA regulations, and that would have been the end of it. But I guess Shiva Gautama Christ-chan, the one true god, decided Gage still had unfinished business down here on Shit Outta Luck 3, because after a few minutes of twitching on the ground, he got up, looked around, and thought, well, now's a good time as any for my yearly checkup. According to the doctor he went to, while Gage was retelling the story of what happened, he suddenly started vomiting all over the place, the effort of which, and I quote, pushed out about half a teacupful of the brain, which fell upon the floor. He didn't say what they did with it after. I'm picturing his dog just running over and immediately scarfing it down, then being plagued with the memories of a human railroad worker for the rest of his life. In the months following, Gage made a near complete recovery, physically anyway. He did lose a bit of his mind, which caused him to lose his mind a bit. Whereas Gage was once an upstanding, hardworking citizen, his untimely brain blast transformed him into an angry, incoherent drunkard, mumbling, quote, the grossest profanity whenever he deemed fit, and showing little to no regard for human life whatsoever. Naturally, he was fired from his job at the railroad, so Gage ended up wandering the earth, earning money any way he could. For a while, he hung out at Barnum's American Museum in New York City, basically making an exhibit of himself, standing there with the tamping iron like, hi, this went through my brain. Bye! He later had a stint as a farmhand in California and a stagecoach driver in Chile, which, I don't know who let the guy with severe brain trauma and no depth perception drive a vehicle, but whatever. Over time, he actually became a lot more functional, until finally, 10 years later, when his brain remembered, oh yeah, I shouldn't exist, leading to Gage having a bunch of seizures and dying at age 36. A similar story happened with—
Wow, that's a hell of a story on its own, Jesus Christ. How the hell do you survive a metal spike through the head? There seems to be like a recurring theme on this channel. I seem to be reviewing and watching stories where the person's just invincible. We had Michael Malloy last week? The other week, I can't remember. It was one of the two. But he was basically invincible as well. They were giving him pure ethanol. We can hear, drink this. This guy's taking a bloody railroad spike through the head, and he's just like, suppose I'll go to the doctors. Like, what? Okay then. Wow, okay. I wonder what this next one's gonna be.
With one Ron Hunt in 2003. He was an American construction worker who was drilling a hole above his head when the ladder he was standing on decided to give way, leading to Hunt landing face first on a 1.5-inch auger drill bit. The drill went straight through his left eye and out the back of his skull. To give you a reference of what 1.5 inches of drill looks like, here's the actual x-ray that doctors took when Hunt arrived at the hospital.
Holy shit.
Miraculously, the drill ended up just kind of pushing his brain out of the way, leading to no cognitive impairment whatsoever.
That's
Matter of
lucky,
fact, Hunt was perfectly lucid while the doctors tried to figure out the best way to take the thing out of his head. Initially,
I'm trying to imagine that in the ER room where he's just stood. He just comes in with that thing stuck through his head. He's just like, can I get some help, please? And Doctor's just like, oh. Oh, God.
They considered cutting it out, but that would have been too messy. So eventually they decided to literally just unscrew it from his head, like, alright, hold him still now. Oh, you fucking MILF. Lefty loosey. Does that mean the top or the bottom? What? It's a rotating circle. And, okay, you hold on for 1 sec. Look, one way the top goes left, one way the bottom. So which? Clearly the one on top. Why? Tell me why. Why clearly? Same reason north is up on the map. It's just common practice. Alright, well, sorry for not subscribing to your Eurocentric propaganda, Dan, you soggy cunt. Anyway, what were we doing? If you think Hunt was just a little too lucky with his incident, don't worry. According to Snopes, he was self-employed and didn't have insurance. So while the accident didn't ruin his life, you can sleep easy knowing that hundreds of thousands of dollars of medical bills and rehabilitation costs probably did. Our next tale revolves around Greg Rasmussen.
So this guy gets a drill bit stuck through his head. Like, not a small drill bit, like a big drill bit stuck through his head. But he's even better than the last one because he's completely lucid. Oh boy. Jesus Christ, I wonder what the last one's going to be. This last one's going to be just like, he's... Plasma impaled his victim, which is perfectly fine. He's like, nah, this is alright.
A British-born animal conservationist who was studying wildlife in Zimbabwe. One day, he got reports of a highly endangered rhino being spotted in the area, so Greg took to the skies in a single-passenger plane to track the beast. Fate was looking down at Greg that day, and after a moment, it said, "No, rhino must die." And a huge gust of wind came out of nowhere, sending Greg into a tailspin, crash landing right in the middle of the untamed African bush. When Greg woke up, he found that his legs looked like used up tubes of toothpaste, so he was essentially trapped right where he was. Arguably worse than that was the fact that Greg was dehydrated before he even took off, hoping to get water at his destination. And just when things looked like they couldn't get any worse, they got worse. A group of elephants showed up and started harassing and straight up stampeding at Greg. With no other option, he starts banging on the wreckage as hard as he could. The elephants went, "Ha!" and decided to leave him alone. He was also approached by a pack of hyenas and actual lionesses on the hunt. But fortunately, animals are all morons, so the same trick worked on them too. Greg spent an entire day and night pinned under the wreckage, fighting off wildlife, severe dehydration, and extreme temperatures before finally being rescued the next morning. Incredibly, after over 100 operations, doctors managed to get Greggy's leggies up and running again. Although he was now 3 inches shorter, which is probably for the best, because now they can just stick the keys to the plane on top of the fridge so he never has another incident like this again. So moral of the story, us humans are resilient creatures who will do anything in our power to survive. And just as Greg Rasmussen banged on his destroyed plane to ward off predators in Zimbabwe, you should bang on your keyboard right now to ward off predators online. With Dashlane. In this day and age, cybersecurity and privacy have never...
Oh, wow. Okay, then. Yeah, I wasn't expecting those stories. Well, no, that's not true. I was expecting something along those lines with it being salmonella, but I wasn't expecting it to be so graphic. Also violent, I don't think. Last week we had somebody who was basically just impervious to alcohol, and this time it was just like, nah, these guys take spikes to the heads of jokes, basically. Oh my god, this is absolute madness. This is absolute madness. Seriously, how the hell do you survive these things? Like, a little bit pushed his brain aside, I can sort of understand that. But the first one, he survived for 10 years after this. After having a spike driven through his head. Like, what? 10 years? People take knocks on the head and die at the scene. This guy's taking a spike through his head and bloody surviving for 10 years. Everyone just seems to be impervious in these videos, and I don't know what to make of that. I just wish I was impervious to this sort of thing. Want to be. And that's going to be the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's been an interesting return to Salmonella for this channel. But yes, if you did enjoy it, make sure you press those like and subscribe buttons, and make sure to press that bell icon so you get the notifications for when I do upload. I'm going to be trying to get some more gaming stuff back on the channel. I've run into a couple of issues recently, but hopefully those will get resolved relatively soon. But if you check out over here, you will see at the top left of the video, you will see, this is the top right, not the top left. You'll see the most recent video apart from this one, and down below you will see the whole History Buff Reacts playlist with all the videos in it. But I've been Zero, this has been Improbable Tales, followed by Salmonella, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.